No chance in hell. That is the amount that this podcast is going to suck. There is no chance in hell that it's going to blow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Changer. And you know something? What do Spreaker.com, YouTube, iHeartRadio, as well as SoundCloud have in common? Why, they're home of this great, amazing podcast. I am indeed Nate the effing Great. I'm being joined here by the one, the only, the legend of the Twitter wrestling universe, the one and only Mr. Fretz. Thank you for gracing us with your presence again.
Well, I'm hot today, Ed. The Chiefs lost, the Leafs lost, and we're talking about Rural 99.
What
and if anyone didn't hear that, I just opened a beer. This is a coffee beer, actually. This is going to be, well, you know.
So, yeah, we're going to be covering Royal Rumble 1999. It's been 20 years since this event actually took place in Anaheim, California, which is ironic because I think that a year later they would come back for the following year's WrestleMania, if I'm not mistaken.
And WrestleMania 12 in 1996.
Oh, there we go. Jeez, that is...
And home of the Anaheim Ducks of the NHL. And, yeah... I have a little thing, if you don't mind, Nate, I have on this day or on this month in 1999.
Oh, by all means.
Yes, well, in music, the number one hit song around this time was Hit Me Baby One More Time by a young Britney Spears.
So this was a pre-crazy head shaving deal, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was like... cute Britney Spears, fresh off of Disney. Everyone in my 9th grade class had a crush on her. Innocent Britney, kind of. She's All That, starring future WWE writer Freddie Prinze Jr. It's in theaters.
Damn.
Along with Varsity Blues and Boondock Saints. In video games, WCW Thunder hits the PlayStation 1.
Hey!
As well as the first Marvel vs. Street Fighter game and the first Silent Hill game.
Jeez Louise.
In the news, this is going to be more for me because this took place in Toronto, and I'm from the Toronto area.
Mm-hmm.
There was a massive snowstorm to start the new year, and I don't think it gave me any snow days, but it got to the point where there was so much that the Army was called in. Like so much fell in a small set of time that the Army was called in to clean things up. And a quick shout out here because this man reviewed this show just last week. Real Honesty with John Ritland and the Derbinator.
Well, there you go. You guys get your cheap plug here.
Cheap plug's gone. I'm not even cheap plugging my stuff today. Not yet.
Trust me, we'll definitely get into that as long as a bunch of other things that are going on, you guys. But yeah, we're reviewing 1999 Royal Rumble, which was aptly entitled No Chance in Hell. The main story that was through this Royal Rumble was that Stone Cold Steve Austin had a bounty on him. Vince McMahon is also in the Royal Rumble match this year. They are the first two entrants in the Royal Rumble. And it is quite the event. I remember you actually mentioned to me, hey, we got to do this deal. I'm like, okay, yeah, I should probably watch it. After watching it, pretty stellar show. I think that there were only like maybe one or two random spots where I was like, oh god, no, this is one of the bad times of WWF. But for the most part, it was a pretty stellar show. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. First matchup on the card is the Hardcore Champion Road Dogg taking on one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions, the Big Boss Man, in a special challenge match. And I want to emphasize the special challenge stipulation in here because they definitely hit that home throughout this matchup. Oh my god.
Disappointed. Oh, special challenge. This was a non-title, non-hardcore match, so right away, I'm turned off. But I'll give him Boss Man at the end of his career. He can still work.
Definitely. No, I agree with that. I wish that they should have just taken out the whole special challenge deal. They should have just said, oh, it's just going to be a regular wrestling match. Then it would have been like, okay, you're saving yourself at least like 5 seconds there, instead of saying special challenge every 2 minutes. Basically it dealt with Boss Man having a huge power game, and Road Dogg was just playing to the crowd like crazy. We got the classic DX 10 count in the corner, along with the DX chops deal. One thing that definitely kind of was one thing I kind of thought was kind of something that would be on Botchamania was that Road Dogg, quote unquote, bites Big Boss Man, but you could definitely tell like only his mouth was open. He didn't like clench it down. It was just one of those things where he was just looking like, oh, my jaw is locked, I'm stuck, and it looks like he's supposed to bite Big Boss Man, but I'm like, no, dude, you're just opening your mouth. That's it. So,
and that ain't no L-I-E. That promo at the beginning was painful.
Oh man, Road Dogg, you did so much better after this. Thank God. Although I will say this, the finish actually came out of nowhere. Big Boss Man with a Big Boss Slam for the victory. Pretty
RKO out of nowhere? No.
I think before the RKO came out of nowhere, and before they really hammered in the DDP, the Diamond Cutter out of nowhere, it was, I think, the Big Boss Slam out of nowhere. Overall, it was a pretty average matchup. Nothing really too spectacular. I give this one a solid C. It wasn't too bad. It's not the worst matchup of the night. Trust me. No, we're going to get into that. Holy crap.
Oh, God, no. I was distracted by all of the... Get a bleep button. No, I'm just not going to swear. The bleeping air horns.
Oh, jeez. That's right.
And I'll have to give credit to the boys from the Attitude Era podcast for bringing this up, because every show they talk about, an air horn, and like just hear different types of ones, like blah, or your big, vuvuzelas like it's the bloody World Cup. Nah.
Yeah.
Bad cup, no donut was a funny line from Jerry Lawler in this match.
Oh, Jesus. I will say this, that there were some really good gems, especially for, I even found some gems from Michael Cole, but we'll get into that during the Rumble matchup. Trust me, we'll get into that later. So the next matchup on the card is the Intercontinental title matchup. We have one half of the Tag Team Champions as well as the Intercontinental Champion, the man known as Ken Shamrock, taking on badass Billy Gunn. Basically, the build-up to this matchup was that Billy Gunn, he mooned Ken's sister, and also Billy Gunn pinned Ken Shamrock in matchup weeks prior. So this was one of those things where it built up to this matchup, which, it's kind of one of those things where you would kind of be predictable. It's like, oh, he beat the champion, therefore he's probably going to get a title match, basically. I will say this, that this match actually showcased one of my favorite signs of the entire event. There's a Deborah's ratings sign on there, and I think it was like Deborah's equals ratings or something like that. And the way that they constructed it, I looked at that, I thought to myself, that is clever, that is smart. So that was probably like one of the best signs I've ever remembered seeing. Just pointing the obvious, but also being very clever about it.
Yeah, it's always a fun time just to go and see all the signs in the crowd. I saw one. It was at the end of WrestleMania 15, and I think I talked about it in either my pod or my blog, that there was a sign that said Fretz somewhere in the crowd. And this was in Philly. Fretz comes from German and Pennsylvanian Dutch, so it could be someone on not my side of the family tree, but on the other side of the bloody forest.
Huh.
And yeah, I I did actually like this match, because, Ken was working the leg, the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock.
Yep.
He was working the leg against Billy. Billy's going for his sister, who at some point I think Ken allegedly had a relationship with or a sexual contest with, but we're not going to get into that because we're not Vince McMahon. So
no, definitely not. No. There was a point where Billy Gunn hit a Famouser out of nowhere for a very close 2 count. We also see Ken Shamrock getting sent flying into a table. Tim White gets knocked out by Ken Shamrock, and then Val Venis decides to come in and be like, hey, DDT, for another close 2 count. Billy Gunn goes to the well too often. He goes through the top rope. He misses. That allows Ken Shamrock to do his signature ankle lock to force Mr. Billy Gunn to tap out to do the victory. Very physical, very little technicality to it. I was kind of surprised by that considering Ken Shamrock's background, but at the same time, Ken Shamrock is also one of the first UFC guys to be like, hey, I'm going to try wrestling. And it's one of those things where it's like, he's still really good. He's one of those guys that can put on a really good match if he really wants to. I gave this one a solid B. I thought this was definitely better than the first matchup. If they kicked off with this matchup, I would have been more happier. But, yeah, all in all, great Intercontinental title match. And honestly, Ken Shamrock showcasing why he was a workhorse in the Attitude Era.
And you forgot to mention famous dick wrestler Val Venis.
Oh, yeah.
That was for you, Ant. Peanut suplex versus the big Valboski. Book it. Come on, Janela. You know you want to.
Oh, man. Val Venis gives birth to Joey Ryan. That actually paints a very clear, vivid, and so much of a sensible picture. Oh, God. Now I'm just having that idea stuck in my head. We have Mr. McMahon backstage. Shane McMahon's playing cheerleader, like, oh, yeah, you're going to win the Rumble, and blah, blah, you're going to eliminate Austin, blah, 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 blah. Vince just loving the attention like Vince McMahon always does. Yada, 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 blah, 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 moving the freak on. We have the European Championship as Gangrel takes on X-Pac.
No fire entrance. Boo!
That was a bit of a bummer.
Everyone's create a wrestler entrance from WrestleMania 2000. You all did it just so you can have pyro, just like you did with Taz's entrance in No Mercy. You did it.
This is true. Gangrel missed a top rope elbow drop early on. We get only a 7 count from Mr. X-Pac. Then he would hit a corner elbow, followed up by the Bronco Buster. That was really cool. That was something nice where it's like, okay, so they're paying homage to the first 2 matches, but X-Pac added a little something different that I was okay with. Gangrel, I described Gangrel during this matchup as a pit bull. He barely stays down. He kept getting back up, and he was just going absolutely crazy. He is just one of those guys that just really tried to take down X-Pac as best as he could. And I kind of liked that. And it's one of those things that's going to be interesting, considering I'll be meeting Gangrel in April for Water City WrestleCon. So that'll be interesting to see. So here's one that I think I want to address with you, is you notice that they actually missed a 3 count in this matchup.
Yep, I was going to mention that before, but X-Pac missed a Bronco Buster, and I wonder if Gangrel's sitting there wondering if he could use a move like that in his adult films. But then again, that's a mental image I don't want to picture because One Night in China. Moving on. Yeah, that was a big F up, big time.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was like either a superplex or a suplex or something like that.
Like a cradle.
It was a cradle. That's right.
A move into a cradle, and Teddy Long playa. Unfortunately, yeah, he goofed up and he heard from the crowd.
Yeah, we got a chance of you effed up, and I was like, wow, we get this early on in the Attitude Era. Okay,
do we ever?
I'm kind of liking it. Then X-Pac would hit the X Factor for the victory, and then this really gets worse for them because they show footage and it proves that Gangrel definitely won. There was no way of saving it. There was no way of saving that spot.
And it's a shame because of who became the European champion after him.
Oh God, that's
like,
right.
And if you listen to my stuff, you know how I feel about non-computers having titles, even if it's funny, like that time Harvey Whippleman did it dressed as a woman.
I can accept the next European champion next to Harvey Whippleman because at least the guy who was barely a wrestler became 1/3 of the best in the world, and oh God, no, that's just burning my skull.
Stop.
That's burning.
We're not talking about that the show that must not be named.
No, definitely not. Let's talk about DX. They basically do a little hype deal for themselves, talking about winning the Rumble, getting the money, basically talking how it's every man or every woman for themselves, because China is going to be involved in this Rumble, entering at number 30, and the first woman to compete in the Royal Rumble match.
Who were the other two, Nate?
Do
you remember?
That would be Beth Phoenix and Karma, I remember.
That's right.
AKA Awesome Kong. I remember her more as Awesome Kong. I'm sorry. But
yeah, me too. That was unfortunately short-lived. But I also know her as, what is it, the Welfare Queen?
Oh, yeah.
On Glow, right?
Yes. Yep, that's her.
Nice.
That was awesome. God, we talked so many positive things about women, but now we're going into one that just...
Skip it. For the love of God, skip it.
I want to so badly, but we have to talk about it because then we have to... We had the WWE Women's Title matchup, and it was a strap match. Sable defending against...
I'm sorry, Shane O'Mac's there for no reason.
Yes, no kidding. Sable versus Luna. They showed a little footage on Sunday Night Heat of Luna attacking Sable, doing like a backbreaker. That was so really dumb to take out Sable. Shane's like, hey, we're going to see a forfeit. Luna's going to be the new champion. Bring it out, bring it out. Sable, she comes in. She says, ring the bell. And the shit just hit the fan. There's a point where I just say, legit thought we would get Brock versus Cena 14 again. Like, oh, now I remember. Because Sable was like, no, I think it was either Luna or Sable were dominating like throughout the majority of the matchup, and it just
Luna was.
It just but during the matchup we saw Tori, who would make her more relevant debut in months following, and she she interferes. She costs Luna the matchup. Sable retains in one of the most lamest fashions ever. I gave it a D-. I would have gave it a failing, but I think there was something there that I thought was like, okay, it's not quite a failure, but it's just really bad. This was a dumpster fire either way.
I'm giving that an F. That's a total botch. I mean, I was like 14, 15. I had a crush on Sable as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, who didn't in my time, and Sonny? But her work in the ring just it never worked out. And then it won't be long from now until she's an international turd smuggler, and then hitchhikes her way to Suplex City, bitch.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into good stuff, because now we're going like totally the opposite direction. We went downhill. Now we're going uphill with these next two matches. Rock goes in. He has an interview. Talks about his match against Mick Foley. We have the WWE Championship I Quit match. Mankind defending against The Rock. Love the promo that they showed beforehand. The instant build-up package that they did. It was great. It shows, Rock with his great mic skills. And there's some points where I even call Mankind Dr. Seuss Foley. Because
yes, I wrote the exact same thing.
Oh my God! But yeah, he just rhymes so well. We cannot do justice to this, guys. You have to watch that promo package from this matchup. It is so good. It's entertaining, but it definitely gives you guys an idea of what this matchup was going to be all about. Jesus Christ! Physical, brutal. Not exactly the fairest ways of describing this matchup, because I think it could go above and beyond.
Oh, it's beyond the mat. That's all I can say about this match. It was one of my favorites. I used to love to hate The Rock, but we would be quoting his promos in the hallways in high school all the time. as well as giving our teachers the crotch chop. I never got in trouble for it because my teacher would just do it right back.
That's awesome.
Giving people stunners in the hallway, good old don't try this at home shit, right? And I spent my teenage years trying to perfect the people's eyebrow.
Oh, man.
Although there's a huge mole here, you can't really see much of the eyebrow. I tried.
Well, I've seen people that literally just like shave their eyebrows and they just have a tattoo on there instead of eyebrows.
Cheating. Come on, that's Mike Tyson levels.
That is Mike Tyson levels, definitely. Yeah, we saw a lot of spots. We saw table spots. We saw people getting thrown off the ladder. We saw people getting hit with chairs. We see a people's elbow with the chair. And all throughout all of this, we're seeing neither one of them quitting at all. And this was probably one of the best I Quit matches of all time, if not the best. Because it is naturally the first, but it's also one of those matches that just very hard to top because you love the brutality that they're bringing, but every single time they do the whole, say I quit, Mankind will maybe go back and just say like, go to hell, Rock, and no way, Rock, and Rock will just, kiss the Rock's ass, stuff like that. Then we get to the point where it gets very unsettling. Rocky, back then, was very, very unsafe when it came to this because I was told by rumor that he was only supposed to hit Mankind in the head just a few number of times. He surpassed that at least by double, triple, enough to make you realize that Mankind's career was going to be shortened after this. So many chair shots. Oh my god. Literally, I just have it says, Rock almost kills Mankind. You look at these chair shots that he is just taking, especially the last one where he just bashes Mankind upside the head. He goes down. I'm sort of convinced that Mankind was legit knocked out after that. Then The Rock, of course, he does this deal where he's like, now this is where The Rock will make your ass say, I quit. He puts the mic down, and of course we hear this weird echoey deal where it's like, I quit, I quit, I quit. Rock wins via shenanigans, we find out later. But yeah, Rock wins the WWE title by hook or by crook, but he is officially still going to be the first person to win an I Quit match. Like I said, absolutely fantastic, absolutely brutal, just a masterpiece of what a rivalry should be. A-plus quality matchup. I think that, all honesty, this was a match that was going to be hard to top throughout the rest of the year.
Absolutely brutal. I mean, given what Rock, not Rock, I mean, Mankind withstood just 6 months before at the King of the Ring.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
And seeing him go through this, like, I'm a massive Mick Foley mark. Like, big time. As entertained as I was by that match, but by the talking trash, and I'm brought back to Matthew from Botchamania. You talk too much, and just the spot after spot. That one where they land in the electrical equipment and the lights go out. That was a nice touch, and Mankind put his body through absolute hell. Entertaining us is admirable, yet insane because he walks around like. I mean, he looks like me walking around, but I also have an excuse because I had spinal fusion surgery 20 years ago.
Right.
And it's, I don't want to know how admirable, I just don't know how admirable it is to put your body on the line like that for the sake of entertainment. But I got to tip my hat to him for that.
Definitely. This was one of those matches where it definitely shows the amount of commitment that Mick Foley has for the company, but it also shows the amount of commitment he has, especially to the fans, to give them these memorable moments. Yes, it's at the expense of his body, but at the same time, he's creating these moments so that way people can say, hey, he is committed to wrestling. He is committed to this deal. Some people might say, no, it's sports entertainment. No, this is legit. Mick Foley's committed to wrestling. I don't care what anybody says. This was legit pro wrestling here. All right, so before we go into the Rumble matchup, we're going to take a short little commercial break for you guys. We will talk about the full-on Royal Rumble matchup, and some of the controversies as well as some of the surprises that took place during this matchup, and talk a little bit about Royal Rumble coming up this week, you guys. It's Royal Rumble weekend. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. We'll be right back after this word from one of our sponsors.
Check out the guys over at Eclectic Media Project. They bring you podcasts such as Musically Challenged. Whose podcast is it anyway? Want to hear something interesting? And their newest podcast, Page 3.14 News. Check them out on Podbean and iTunes at Eclectic Media Project. On their website at www.eclecticmediaproject.com. Check them out as they are the home with a little something for almost everyone.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to The Game Changer. We're talking about Royal Rumble 1999. I'm Nate the Effing Great, joined here by the one and only Mr. Fretz. All right, so are we ready to talk about the Royal Rumble?
Ready, willing, and Gable.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, Royal Rumble 1999 features Vince McMahon and Stone Cold as your first two competitors. And I'm actually going to go through all the competitors really quick here so that way you guys know who is supposed to be a part of it. Starting from number 3, we have Golga, Draws, Edge, Gilbert, Steve Blackman, Dan Severn, Tiger Ali Singh, Blue Meanie, Mabel, even though it's supposed to be Mosh, the Road Dogg, Gangrel, Kurgan, I believe his name was.
Kurgan, 300.
Al Snow, Goldust, Godfather, Kane, Ken Shamrock, Billy Gunn, Test, Big Boss Man, Triple H, Val Venus, X-Pac, Mark Henry, Jeff Jarrett, D'Lo Brown, Owen Hart, and finally rounding it off is Chyna. So the main story, like I said before, is the fact that it's about Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon. Everything just going absolutely insane. It's one of those things that I think really makes the Royal Rumble that much more interesting because, of course, you have the whole bounty thing on the line, but also it's like, well, this could be the ultimate deal for Stone Cold. If he eliminates Vince McMahon, not only will he take out his rival, he would also be getting a headline ticket to WrestleMania. So that was the main story about this. We see a couple eliminations here and there. Vince McMahon and Stone Cold, they brawl to the outside. They go into like the concession stands or in the area, and then Stone Cold gets ambushed by the corporation. Vince plotted a nice little trap for Stone Cold Steve Austin, and R.I.P. Admiral Akbar. So Stone Cold's getting taken away on an ambulance for right now. Talk about that. There's a point where this is just a couple notes from the Royal Rumble match up. I said that this actually has probably one of my favorite eliminations, if not one of the funniest eliminations ever. The way that Edge takes out Gilbert, because of course everybody knows Gilbert. He's just kind of coming out. He's doing his little like just going crazy. And then I think what happened was like he was like climbing the ropes, doing like a arm up deal, and then Edge just like, yep, nope, you're gone. And I just thought like, okay, this might beat Santino's elimination like years later.
Or the Warlords, or Bushwhacker Luke's,
or
Sheamus last year.
Oh God, that's right. That's awesome.
That was good. I've mentioned before that I met Gilbert at an indie show came into my hometown, which was headlined by, it had Jason Sensation, it had a very, very young Kizarny.
Oh, wow.
Then known as Sin, and Gilbert was a referee. So guess who was trash-talking him from the sidelines? Me and my mates. Starting to throw me out. I'm like, bitch, this is my hometown arena. I played hockey here. My brother plays hockey here. Get out.
That's awesome. I also made a note about how Jerry Lawler just would not shut up about Gilbert. Because I think he was just saying like, oh, here's my pick, here's my blah, 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 blah. It's like, Jesus, dude, just stop talking about Gilbert. Just shut up.
He's gone. He's gone to the showers, man. Just go on. Move on to Dan the Beast Severin.
Yeah.
What could have been, right?
Oh, God. Yeah. He definitely had
NWA champion.
Oh, my gosh. They could have done so much. One thing that really was impressive was when Mabel came out, he was eliminating people like left and right. I would almost say he was kind of pulling like what Kali would do years later. He was just throwing like somebody left and right, just going like, oh, you're gone, oh, you're gone, oh, you're gone, oh, you're gone. Just was pretty awesome. But then the Undertaker would make an appearance here. And then we would see the Acolytes and Midian. They would come in. They would just beat down on Mabel, throw him out, get him out of there, and then do a sacrifice for Mabel, which... Again, this would be the situation where he would slowly turn into Viscera. Let's just say that Viscera was probably his best incarnation, and we're not going to... Let's not talk about Big Daddy B. Because that was just...
But do you know what the word Viscera means?
Oh, please, by all means, educate me.
It's basically poo.
Are you serious? Oh, my God.
Let me verify.
Oh my God! If that's the case, that is literally.
I'm on the Google machine right now, Conrad Thompson. Internal organs in the main cavities of the body, especially those in the abdomen, e.g., the intestines.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they call them shit, basically.
Oh my God! That is so funny, but also so sad at the same time.
It's borderline like offensive.
It kind of is, actually, now that I think about it. They're basically saying he's a big pile of poo.
Well, I'm not going to go into detail, but if you listen to the Bruce Pritchard podcast, there's a funny story about Mabel and colonics. I won't divulge any further. Listen for yourself.
Oh, colonics. I thought you were saying chronic. I was about to say, Chronic.
Yeah, it's not crushing atom bomb, no.
Okay. I just had to double verify. But this was where I noticed like one of the gems that Michael Cole had. He was literally just burning King throughout the night, where he's just like, yeah, you're very indecisive about your picks, aren't you, buddy? Oh, wait, this was one of your guys that you picked. And
he's gone.
It's just so funny because he keeps bringing it up. It's like, no, this was one of your guys that you had picked. But Jerry, this is who you had picked out. He's just literally just coming up like one after another after another. I'm just like, wow, Michael Cole's on his aim game as far as like burning Jerry Lawler. This is kind of cool. I like this. A lot better than what they did later on in years. Oh, God, that was horrible.
No, let's not even go there.
Yeah, but this was just one of those things where it's like, okay, this is Michael Cole as announcer. This is a gem. I will appreciate one of the gems that he had in the big pile of poo that he did for the rest of his career. There was also a Sable is old sign in this matchup.
Sable is what?
Is old. I'm just like, what?
She wasn't 30 at this time.
I think somebody was trying to make it seem like a joke or something. It was one of those things where I said, it's a bizarre but kind of funny sign. It was one of those things where, like, she doesn't look that old unless somehow she ages horribly.
Well, maybe now, or maybe in her run in 03 she aged horribly, but, you can blame plastic surgery for that.
This is true.
I had a thing about Kurgan here.
Oh, please, by all means.
Well, we all know that he was in, the oddities, and I didn't realize it because I don't think I've still seen the entire movie the whole way through, except from, channel surfing, but he was in 300.
He was really in 300?
He was in I don't know where and when. I don't think he's the guy that, I don't know the main character's name. Internet roast me, please. The part where they kick him off, this is Sparta.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that's him, but I think he's like one of the giants that Buddy has to slay on his way to victory or something.
That would actually be kind of cool, because he was a pretty big guy.
Oh, he was huge. He's a big Montreal guy. Went to one of the first Dory Funkin' dojos with, I think, Edge Draws, Tiger Ali Singh, Val Venus, famous stick wrestler Val Venus. They were all in the same time.
Nice.
Getting trained.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So there was this random storyline where a bunch of white coats were coming in. They were coming in for Kane. Kane, he fights him back. He does his deal where he beats up everybody, and then he just eliminates himself. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, that's kind of worth noting, because obviously 2 years later, he would go on to have one of the best Royal Rumble performances ever, eliminating people left and right, 11 people. Jesus, please. Soon after this, Stone Cold Steve Austin would return. Well, actually, I will say this, that they did a weird transition for this, because they literally throw Mabel in the back of a hearse, and then Undertaker, Paul Bearer, they're watching this. Then we see the ambulance come by, and Stone Cold's just like, just get the hell out of my way. He comes in, and he just comes in, laying waste to everybody. When I think that was this Val Venus? This is either Val Venus or this was the Godfather. I can't remember who it was. No, I think it was Godfather. I think he came out with Victoria and it was somebody else and Terry. I thought it was Victoria, but I could be completely wrong. Please, by all means, internet, tell me I'm wrong, because I know I am. But one thing I definitely will say, that this is one of the few times that I watch this event, I look at Terry's attire, and I'm like, okay, that's really revealed. There's literally, like, nothing covering her, except, like, a fishnet deal. And I'm just like, wow, they're actually letting people get away with that? That's kind of cool, actually. But then again, I think I watched the, not the parental guidance version, so... Well,
there was worse.
That is true.
Well, there was one where in Armageddon '99, which it was still unedited in the VHS release, and 15-year-old Fretz was no comment, where the cat whipped out her tits after winning the women's title, and it was uncensored on the friggin' VHS release of all things. Like, I have a set of downloads of pay-per-views, and they're censored there. And then there's the 2000 Miss Rumble, which we don't need to relive. I already did for my blog. Holy shit, bad. And did we cover Austin coming out in an ambulance?
Yes, we did.
So pull up your pants. We need an ambulance. There's only 2 days left to spring. Whoa, I jumped the whole song. And you're going to have to forgive me. I'll start again. Dave, pull up your pants. We need an ambulance. There's a girl upstairs talking to play and stuffing her hair off. And there's only 2 days after spring break. How long does these things take to wear off? Well, it depends on how many you've had. I took 3. She had the other 22 caps. Now she's upstairs crying her eyeballs, drinking Lysol. She's gonna die, dude, and I know it's my fault. That's Eminem for Mr. Ant. That's for you, good brother.
Jesus Christ.
He likes to spit out some Eminem, and once I saw Austin coming out in an ambulance,
oh my god.
Potentially, tragic song here, because it's about Eminem, about some girl that took too many shrooms, and spoiler alert, died.
Oh, jeez.
A thing about Test here, he came into the Rumble, I think, just before or after Austin did with his ambulance.
Uh-huh.
I grew up about an hour north of where Test grew up. Our paths never crossed, but I did go to a house show in Oshawa, Ontario, where he headlined this Raw house show against Scott Steiner.
Yay!
Headlined against Scott Steiner in 2003. An event that Jeff Hardy no-showed. And then he was shit-canned not long after.
Ah, jeez. That was a bad time for Hardy.
Yeah, that was a bad time. The match was... It was kind of confusing because on TV, I think Test had already turned heel against Stacy.
Right.
So Scott Steiner, he insults Canada, and when you do that up here, it's instant heat.
Mm-hmm.
Chases Stacy around the ring about 3 times, comes back in, they boot, boom, done.
Huh.
Everyone goes home happy. Okay.
Because
and that was one of the 2 house shows I've ever been to. The other one was 3 days after the Montreal Screwjob.
Whew, jeez.
But yeah, that's for that's neither here nor there. Dusty Dave.
Jeez Louise. But yeah, getting back to the getting back to the Rumble, China, she enters in at number 30. She goes on to eliminate Mark Henry in this matchup, which is honestly a really impressive feat because a lot of people know that Mark Henry is no pushover. He's, whether he was in the corporation, whether he was in the Nation, whether he was doing the Hall of Pain, doesn't matter. He's not one of those guys that is a pushover guy. He's literally one of those guys who earned that title of, World's Strongest Man for a reason. But then after that, we saw China get eliminated by Austin. And of course, Triple H is just pissed. And he just goes absolutely bananas on Austin. Kind of a sign of future things to come. For those of you that probably remember a single thing called No Way Out 2001. Holy crap. That was insane. But we're not going to talk about Survivor Series 99 because that just, wow. We might have to. We may have to now that I think about it because we are in 2019. Damn it all.
It's coming up, 20-year retros.
It is. I put a note here that Bossman pulls a Corbin. Take that however you will. It's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, he pulls a Baron Corbin. He does something really stupid. So literally, I think I'm making a situation where it's like, yep, Baron Corbin is this incarnation Bossman. Bossman might be the illegitimate father of Baron Corbin. Somehow it actually seems to make sense to me.
That's awful.
I
think Bossman behaving badly was a dick, but man, at least he backed it up.
This is true.
Baron Corbin can't back up shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, watch any episode of Monday Night Raw, and you'll prove that right. He's going to be the reason why Kurt Hawkins gets his first win. I'm calling it right now.
If only it was Brock Lesnar.
This is also true. Oh my god! Can you?
Rant with Amp, we've been fantasy booking the shit out of that. Like,
can you?
Even if it's one day.
Can you imagine the reaction that Demon Diva Issa would have if Kurt Hawkins beat Brock Lesnar?
Oh, she would get. Well, she's been super drunk on camera before. This would be like super drunk, crying, ice cream, you name it, on camera.
Let me paint you guys a picture. Go check out her YouTube channel and check out when it was Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental title on Raw. And just get a small taste of that. Now, magnify that by 100, and that is legit how I could see Kurt Hawkins beating Brock Lesnar would literally be. That would be one of the funniest moments in my life. That would be one of the best things, I think, in wrestling. And that would probably be one of the worst days of Demon Diva's life.
She would quit the podcast, quit YouTube.
Oh my god, she's gonna torch something, guarantee it.
And then when we eventually both meet her, forget super kick with the stilettos. It'll just be send location. Next thing you know, I'm in a ditch like 10 miles up the road.
I'll be out of the country by then. I'll literally just be like somewhere in maybe Europe or England or Australia.
Take me then.
Right? We're two people just running. It's like we're running from a woman that is scorned. Just let us through.
Yeah.
Okay, getting back to the Rumble matchup. So it gets down to the final two, which is, of course, McMahon and Austin. Rock comes out, and he is just basically distracting Austin. This allows Vince McMahon to throw out Stone Cold Steve Austin for the victory. And Vince McMahon becomes a Royal Rumble winner. That is so hard to take seriously, I know. So many emotions are like...
Dude, you have no idea how much I hated this at the time. I was such an Austin guy. Yeah, non-computers winning.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe that. I probably will do this when I get my Patreon up and going. I'll have to make sure that I get like video reactions so that way I can literally show you like literally his reaction just went from like his mouth just being almost wired shut, trying so hard to just keep everything inside, and now he's coughing up stuff. This is one of those things where I think even 20 years later, it still stings just a bit for so many people.
However,
yes.
Well, but before I get into this segue, Ollie, who's that guy from Wrestle Talk? Ollie, segue. if you know what I'm talking about, can of Coke. I enjoyed. Well, Owen Hart just got a nice pop from the crowd there.
He did.
And it made me tear up just because, Owen's my favorite all time, just like Ant. But he didn't become my favorite until, well after his death. Because I watched Over the Edge 99 live. That was, not good.
Oh, jeez.
I've always wondered what would happen had Owen Hart lived. I actually blogged about it, and I'm hesitant to podcast about it because it's kind of morbid.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I was talking to, before I released it on my blog, I was going in the Patreon chat, and they were like, yeah, do it, man. So, you could see it later this year.
Cool.
Owen versus Austin, that took me back. We all instantly went there. Let's not go to that night. But the feud they had in '97, other than that, was top notch. I mean, the house show I went to in Barrie was headlined by Dude Love and Austin versus Owen and Nanville because they were the only members of the Hart Foundation left. As I said, 3 days after the screw job. In a town outside of Toronto, so you can imagine how we were feeling. I didn't like Bret when he was anti-American. And I'm saying that as a Canadian, and I'm probably going to get taken to Trudeau for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I've been an Austin guy through and through. I booed Owen at first, then he comes out with the Canadian flag. Okay, I have to be a polite Canadian, right? And yeah, because we're known for being polite, right?
Right.
Please and thank you. And just seeing everything leading up with. Well, there was some stuff with Mark Henry and China, and the whole transvestite thing on the blind date. We're not going there. It's 2019. Transphobia is unfortunately still a thing.
Neither here nor there. Anyway, to your point.
Dave. And yeah, there was little nuggets, not Owen Hart nuggets, of storylines in there. You had China and Mark Henry, Owen and that, Jeff Jarrett. All these little mini feuds that either start or end or continue at the Rumble, and I've always thought that. And now, segue. The next night on Raw, it's like McMahon, I won the Rumble. I told you there was no chance in hell. Cue Commissioner Michaels. Since you're not an official, wrestler, you've been checked out of the main event of WrestleMania 15, and Steve Austin has been checked in. And just Austin's facial during that thing was awesome.
Oh, man, that was an awesome moment. And that just showed the kind of power that Shawn Michaels can have, and he could just make it so entertaining. Also, if they were ever to bring Shawn Michaels for a 1 month tier as general manager or stuff like that, I know they're doing this deal where it's no, we're just going to have the authority is just going to be running. Let Shawn Michaels run. Let Shawn Michaels.
We're the authority.
Yeah. I use my authoritative power to say, hey, let Shawn Michaels run the show for about a month. That's all I ask for. You don't have to make it a year. 1 full month of just Shawn Michaels being Shawn Michaels. Let him be goofy. Let him be awesome. I kind of want that Commissioner Shawn Michaels back just for 1 month, and then I'll be happy. That's just me. I gave this Royal Rumble an A-. Yeah, the ending was bad. The ending was just we still have to go through this, but it does help the story. The Rumble match itself was pretty good. I I liked it. This was a really good show to watch and relive, and I'm very glad that I got the chance to do it. I also got the chance to relive the fact that Mankind got his brain smashed in by The Rock. That just... Rock, you're my favorite, but at the same time, I just remembered, yeah, you almost tried to kill Mick Foley. Dude, why? Just why? Also, I have to do this Kings of the Ring podcast. Yeah, I'm doing a podcast right now. I understand that you had a mention for us on something on Twitter. It can wait. Just calm down.
Whoa, is this breaking news?
I don't know. It said mentioned by Kings of the Ring podcast. I'm like, I'm not at that point where I could do that right now. I'm doing a podcast.
No, it must have been this morning when you were talking about me being on and you having a challenge to Will or something, so they hit reply all just because.
Right? Man. Well,
I do that too.
All right, so yeah,
Follow Friday.
So yeah, I'll have to mention that. That's a perfect segue. Rumble weekend, it's going to be crazy. We got NXT Takeover Phoenix this Saturday. Sunday will be the Royal Rumble event. We were in like so many different chats in the Patreon universe, and one thing that was mentioned, I think it was mentioned by our good friend Dusty Dave, is that these Rumble matches are very hard to predict because we don't know who's going to win. It could literally be anybody. We have who we want to win, but it's one of those things where it's not obvious which direction they're going now.
It's really awesome. I read dirt sheets. Dirt Sheet Dave. Dirt Sheet Fretz.
There we go.
I like going on, your WrestleZones or your NoDQ.com, all those ones, and just reading shit. And I remember going almost every year, like, this year, Roman Reigns is scheduled to win the Rumble. Well, thanks. I wanted to see that. Like, expect so-and-so to win the Royal Rumble. Like, last year, I didn't see any of those prediction things. I don't know if I wasn't listening to Ant at that point. That was at WrestleMania, and I thank the Kings for that one, for their live show. Yeah, I don't remember anyone really having these predictions or like, this guy's definitely going to win. Like, I think most people are like, it's going to be Cena just because. But surprise, surprise, Nakamura. They threw us a curveball. And unfortunately, that curveball turned into I'm not a baseball guy, so I can't give you an analogy here. But you get it. It was a strikeout. Hey, there it is.
There we go.
And his matches in his feud with AJ were, pun intended, phenomenal. Not Wrestle Kingdom worthy, but still extremely entertaining. And that heel turn at Mania was, well, again, something that no one saw coming, like an RKO, the low blow. But then his heel character just went, it's the drifting shits now, so I'm kind of ready for Knock to go all elite, to be honest with you.
No, I do agree. I think that after one of the matches that will be up for predictions this Sunday is going to be Rusev versus Nakamura, which, guys, we'll definitely have on there. Be sure to tune in on Saturday. I'll do a prediction show where I will tell the predictions between myself, Mr. Fretz, and Dave. So definitely tune in to that. But yeah, there's a lot of really good predictions and a lot of good stuff that's happening. There's a couple bumps in the road here and there, but yeah, it's literally a match of nobody knows who's going to win. Nobody knows who's going to do it. I got a busy Sunday ahead of me in which I have to battle, you mentioned before, Will. I'll be battling for the Gift of the Podcast title, I guess they call it, or championship. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but either way, Will thought I couldn't beat him, but I beat him at TLC. So, haha, Will, stick it up your you know what. I also have You, Mr. Fretz, this Sunday, in which I do plan on getting back the Game Changer Championship. But of course, I will never have any disrespect for you because you did, in fact, help us defeat the Kings of the Ring podcast at Survivor Series, and I thank you for that.
Right on, you're welcome.
Too sweet.
And at least I'm back in their good books. Maybe just because I'm a Patreon, but who knows?
I think I'm at the point where I'm sort of like I'm not quite to the point of Slack level hatred, but I'm in like a category of hate of my own. For
Hey, Slack won tweet of the week last week.
I was so pissed at that. I was thinking like, oh, I probably have to win for this one, but then
I was shocked, but it was good because, well, it spoke to me because that tweet is me to a key, accurate AF, and I told him that.
Oh man! But then also the big one, in my opinion, is going to be myself versus Dusty Dave, where the loser is going to be going to Chop City WrestleMania week. So definitely tune into the video for that to see who's going to get their chest nice and beat red. So that's going to be a fun deal. Honestly, if I lose, I somehow see Demon Diva being like the first one up there, and she will probably try to kill me.
Kill you with a stiletto.
It's really funny because I keep talking all this crap about Demon Diva, but I don't think she said a single bad thing about me yet. But I think that's good.
You just don't exist.
Probably not in this case. But anyway, so now we're at the point where we can do all the cheap plugs. Mr. Fretz, I know that you have a lot to plug, including your own podcast that you definitely been starting up. So please, by all means, plug away, my friend.
All right. My podcast is anchor.fm/Fretzlemania, FRETZLE Mania. My blog is fretzlemania.wordpress.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Legendary JF, Facebook at James Fretz, but I don't interact much on Facebook. Just shoot me up on Twitter and give me a 2-star rating because my podcast is apparently on iTunes.
Ooh.
And Stitcher and Google, and there's I started Anchor.fm. Shout out to Philium from Rant with Ant for suggesting that because I was on Spreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first 2 or 3 episodes were on Spreaker, and then as you know, you kind of have to pay up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I did it was like you can only have 15 minutes, and my recent review of All In was an hour and 10 minutes.
Fair enough.
So I did that, and I'm learning the ropes for podcasting. I want to learn how to do other things, like how to have guests and how to record Skype calls, but that's an off-air conversation. And that's my cheap plugs. # be the brand.
Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, you can find me on Twitter at RealFNGame. You know where to give us a like on our Facebook fan page. I've already mentioned a couple of places where you can locate us to listen into this podcast. Also, like Fred said, if you want to find out more about the stuff that he does, definitely look in the description. I have a link for all the stuff that he has, including his podcast as well as his stuff. Definitely check out the articles and the podcast. They are awesome. Just absolutely great. And be sure to also hit him up on Twitter. It's just awesome talking to this guy. He is a lot of fun, and he is definitely one of the guys that I will consider to be too sweet and definitely representing the brand like no other. And it's actually kind of funny. We're both wearing our Rant with Ant t-shirts at the same time. And it's the same design, too. It's just a different color. So Rant with Ant, you're welcome. We're representing even though nobody can see us. All right, so for Mr. Fretz, I've been Nate the Effing Great. This is the Royal Rumble week, and this has been Royal Rumble 1999 review. Pretty good show, you guys. Just bypass the women's matchup, and you'll have an amazing time. So enjoy Royal Rumble, and we will see you guys then. Bye-bye.
Peace.